I feel like this user is actually saying, where are the games that are going to give me that nostalgia feeling, that is going to give me that sense of childhood wonder again? Welcome to the Xbox Basement, everybody. I don't know your name, but my name is John, and I cover all things Xbox here. So in case you guys didn't know, you can actually leave comments on my videos that I put out, and I got an interesting comment from somebody a little while back, and this comment came on one of my videos where I was talking about how Xbox was doing a refresh on their systems. This user said, and I quote, "What a console generation, where the F are the games?" Now, I believe that they were talking about this console generation in a whole, so Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo, but their main point is, where are the games? Like, where are all these games? Like, why aren't we getting like the best games ever that we feel like we should be getting with our current console generation? So you guys know me, my wheels really got turning, and I thought, what do they mean by where the F are the games? Like, what are you talking about? Because when I go over here to Xbox and I look at just their Game Pass games, they've got over 400 of them. And I think what people are trying to say is, where are all the amazing first-party exclusives that we can all fall in love with and hardcore dedicate ourselves to a console? And you may disagree with me, but I'm actually gonna say that they don't exist anymore. Well, John, what do you mean? Well, here's what I mean, and for that we're gonna need a little history lesson. To the time of the early 90s, when we were really starting to see the video game boom kind of come back around, Atari had completely crashed the entire video game scene. Nintendo came on the market with their Nintendo Entertainment System, and it was a huge hit worldwide. Of course, Sega was doing well in Japan with their Master System, but it was about the 90s when the Genesis and the Super Nintendo really started to make video games famous. We went from blocks on a screen and a single button in our controller to the 16-bit generation with a controller that had just a ton of buttons on it. And that was actually the console generation where exclusives and all of these games that we know and love really got ingrained into us. Now, if you remember that era, you're probably a little older like I am, and that was the first time that I really got into a video game. That was when Sonic the Hedgehog took off and made lifelong Sonic fans. That was when The Legend of Zelda took off and it got lifelong Zelda fans. Super Metroid, one of my favorite games of all time that I have played through way too many times that I care to count. Just want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys who subscribe to the channel, and if you're not subscribed, consider doing that now. When Sony released the original PlayStation in 1994, we got amazing first-party games out of that console. That's when Metal Gear really took off. That's when Final Fantasy really took off. Entering the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, that's when we saw GTA really take off. That's when we saw the first-person shooter genre with Halo really take off. And then along comes the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and this is where the water started to become more and more muddied together. We were getting these amazing games from like Bethesda and Rockstar. EA and Ubisoft were both putting out really good things. And with the Xbox 360 generation, that was the last time that we saw a really significant jump for graphics, for gameplay in general. But it wasn't one thing or the other. It wasn't just a good game, it was the fact that we were jumping to new technology. A few years back, I actually owned a video game store, and this lady comes in one time and she says, "Hey, my son wants the new Mario game." And we had a few options, so I said, "Okay, which one is he looking for? Which console does he have?" And she says, "Oh, he's got an Xbox." I of course tried to explain to her that Mario does not work on any Xbox because it's a different console, it's a different branding. However, she could not be convinced, and she left the store kind of frustrated that she couldn't just buy a Mario game for her son's Xbox. But this was about the generation where people started to expect all video games to just kind of work on whatever console they had. Because starting with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, the generation lines have really kind of blurred. So we no longer have this jump where it's like, whoa, this is an amazing new console and it's twice as good as my last one. Most of these controllers kind of became a universal thing. They have their established controller and it just doesn't change. And what kind of came along with that is that we've lost this kind of wonder, this kind of enchantment that we remember when we were much younger, of putting in a game for the first time and just being enraptured with it, just being blown away by it. So much so that we actually end up branding ourselves. We buy their products, we buy all their little knickknacks, we buy their attire, and all of this is to show that, hey, we really like this thing. And if you've been watching my videos, you've seen me wear my Legend of Zelda shirt. You see, I have an obscene amount of Charmander things back there, and there's actually more that you can't see that I own. But all of these IPs got ingrained into me because I was a kid when I fell in love with all this stuff. And now here as an adult with different concerns and different priorities in life, I think the statement of where the F are the games goes much deeper. I feel like this user is actually saying, where are the games that are going to give me that nostalgia feeling, that is going to give me that sense of childhood wonder again? And I would say that you've got to look, but when you're looking for games like that, you can look over here under genres. It's going to help you narrow that down. If you're a Legend of Zelda fan like I am, especially the Super Nintendo classic, then you need to download and play Moonlighter. If you guys are a huge fan of Pokemon, then you need to download and play Cassette Beasts. If you're a fan of old school RPGs like I am, you need to download and play Sea of Stars. So the games are there, because anybody who says that Microsoft doesn't have good first-party exclusives are just wrong. Xbox has a ton of exclusives. Just because you don't like the genre doesn't mean that they're not good. And I really wish everybody would just stop complaining about this for Xbox or Sony or Nintendo. Find something new to fall in love with. Download something on Game Pass that is in a genre you like and just play it. Thank you guys for taking the time to check out this video, and leave me your thoughts about losing the kind of video game magic that we grew up with. Until next time, I've been John, and this is the Xbox Basement.